Good evening, everyone. Namaskar. The President of this prestigious Madras Chamber of Commerce and Industries and my good friend Shri Keshavan, the respected chief guest of this evening, Managing Director and CEO of Ashok Leyland, Shri Shenu Agarwal, Shri Vishwanathan, Madam Saraswati, and the outgoing pillar of this organization, Shri Shankar Narayanan, all the past presidents, all the respected members of this organization, distinguished invitees, friends from the media, good evening once again. Before I speak, let me pay my respects to one of the important signature lines of the city of Chennai, Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, the doyen of global India, global agriculture, father of India's green revolution. In his passing away, we have lost a living legend and a living inspiration. So I join you all in paying respects to his noble soul and may it rest in eternal peace. Madras, as it was known, and Chennai, as it is known, is a very important center of our country. It has been the leading light, the lighthouse, particularly for South India. And we are aware that Tamil Nadu is one of the most industrialized states, one of the highest contributors to the GST, apart from Maharashtra and Karnataka. So as I stand here, I would also like to recall one of my own illustrious service colleagues, Sri Seshan, who shook the country by the way he brought about reforms in the domain of elections. And Tamil Nadu at large, and Chennai in particular, has its own unique flavor. Every city has its own unique flavor. Here it is the flavor of culture, the flavor of language, and the pride with which the people of Tamil Nadu wear it. Many of us are very shy of wearing our own identities. Of course, we should be wearing our identities without stepping on to others' heels, and that's what the people of Tamil Nadu do. I'm here this evening not because I fit into your expectations, but because of our friend, Mr. Keshavan. We keep bumping into each other, sharing the days, because we both are from agriculture backgrounds. So in Delhi, almost every month we meet, and I think that's what made him to invite me to this lovely center of Chennai. Madam Saraswati asked me, what am I going to speak to you? I just told her, because she asked me and I couldn't escape from her question, that I might speak on economy, employment, and welfare and bioeconomy. So I have not prepared any speech, but let me just share my random thoughts. Many of you, I'm sure, students of economics, but being entrepreneurs, you certainly have heard of the father of economics, Adam Smith, who in his treatise, Wealth of Nations, talked about the free markets. He talked about the invisible hands of the market and believed that market has that innate potential which will ensure channelization of the scarce financial resources into that domain which is capable of generating demand. So he didn't want any government or governance to be intervening into that or interfering into that. Now, how far has this invisible hand of Adam Smith succeeded in creating welfare? Employment is just one component of the larger terminology welfare. World over, every government, every society is committed to welfare of everybody. Adam Smith was so influential that for 2 centuries he held on, and his classical economic theory impacted large number of economists through the 18th and 19th centuries until, of course, even today he influences, but then he hit a roadblock in 1929-30 when United States of America and European Union went through recession, Great Depression it is called as, no employment, entire business was down. The free market failed to recreate the employment opportunities. Because Adam Smith and his other colleagues who belong to this classical economic domain, they always said that there is a natural incentive called profit in the markets. And even if the economy is down, it will lead to loss of employment, and therefore the people will be ready to work for lower wages. And if they are able to work for lower wages, then there is an incentive for the entrepreneur to reinvest and therefore recreate jobs. During that particular period of time, more than money, it was labor. He was talking everything in terms of labor. So therefore he said that if the wages are depressed, then naturally there is an incentive for the entrepreneur. But the Great Depression did not demonstrate the potential of that particular theory. Therefore, now there was a challenge to that theory, and we had a new man called John Maynard Keynes, an English economist, who, like some of us, was both a bureaucrat and an economist. So he came to United States, and he countered this and said that we need to make investments through government and rationalize the taxes so that we are able to create new employment opportunities. Because his theory was we need to create effective demand. And effective demand is a function of both supply and demand. But then, as you know, during the period of depression, or even during normal times, it is not easy to maneuver supply. There are infrastructural constraints, capital constraints, skill constraints, if not labor constraints. So it is not easy to respond to the natural demand. And demand itself needs to be maneuvered, and it is not easy to maneuver demand because demand is a function of tastes and preferences. And it's not easy to change tastes and preferences. Maybe in 21st century where everything is so amorphous, the youth in fact keeps changing its tastes and preferences, they may start responding. So we'll have a new economics soon. But so far at least it is not true. Therefore, what Keynes said was, government has to make conscious investments and rationalize the taxes so that it is able to crowd in the private sector in participation. And thereby we create new demand and also proportionately new supply. The issue before us is, today, whether global economy and Indian economy in particular has been able to create that welfare which is a constitutional guarantee. And therefore, whether the economic growth that India has been clocking since 1947 has resulted in employment generation. That is the question, according to me. So now if we look at India's broad data, since 1947-1951, there has been a change in the economic structure of our country, but it is not so glaring as to say that we have made total change from agriculture economy to the industrial economy, or that from rural economy to the urban economy. Today, even as per the 2011 data, for want of 2021 data, let me refer to 2011 data. We have had a population of 121 crore, which is now 142 crores. Out of 121 crore population, 86 crore lives even today in rural India. It has come down from then 80% to around 65% today. Of this rural population, the working population is 48 crores. Of this 48 crore working population in rural India, 26 crore is dependent on agriculture. 26 crore comprises 12 crore cultivators and 14 crore landless agriculture labor. This 26 crore, which is dependent on agriculture, is nearly equal to the population of the United States, 2 times that of the Australian population. So when we talk about percentages, we hide a lot of things, and therefore many a time it is better to talk about absolute numbers. If the population even today continues to depend on agriculture and depend in the rural areas, rural infrastructure, are they adequately provided in terms of welfare and therefore employment? If you look at the economic structure, the share of agriculture was 63% in 1951. It has now come down to 18.5%. But the percentage of population has come down just from 80% then to just to 48%, which only means that while the share of the rural economy in the net domestic product of the country has risen very marginally, the responsibility of the rural economy and agriculture economy in particular to shoulder the job potential continues to be very heavy. So, we can say broadly that notwithstanding the economic growth of our country and the creation of wealth, large number of people continue to ask for employment, and we have not been able to provide. And in the absence of employment opportunities, we can't have welfare. Without going too much into the concept of welfare, I can only say so much because there are different definitions of welfare by economists, sociologists, and psychologists. So much we can agree on that welfare is best defined by Maslow, Abraham Maslow, a psychologist who talked about his need hierarchy. That man is not just a biological man, neither is he a rationally thinking animal like economists call him. He has given us 5 important needs of humans. The first one is physiological need, food, etc. The second one is the security. That means we need to feel secure about our own personal id and ego, about our society, about our families. And third one is the feeling of love and affection. That comes only when what you are talking about, when you have a good family. And fourth, self-esteem. We all like to feel respected, recognized, a sense of purpose. And the last one is self-actualization. When I want to do what I want to do, you want to play on mridangam, is everybody capable of playing on that even if he wants to? So these 5 important needs can be met only when you have enough access to enough wealth. Now this can be met either by the government as a gratuitous transfer of income, but which government on earth can actually keep on transferring gratuitously to fulfill all his needs. It will be irrational. Therefore, employment is the only way forward to create enough incomes. And this is what John Maynard Keynes talked about. That employment will come from effective demand. When you try to meet the demand, you're increasing the production. As you increase the production, you're creating jobs. As you create jobs, you're transferring incomes. So you are creating a virtuous cycle. Now, can we do that in our country? So there is another important law that I want to refer to you. And that is a very famous law by one French economist, Jean Baptiste Say. Some of you must have heard about it. It's called the Say's law or the market law. This gentleman said, supply creates its own demand. You keep on producing and aggressively market it, the demand will be created. Is it true? At least I don't see it in agriculture sector. In the agriculture sector, as we have hit the surpluses in certain commodities, the prices are continuously falling. That supply creates its own demand is not true. It was true in the 19th century and possibly in the first half of the 20th century when the Western world was controlling all of us. They had a captive market. They could make us to produce what we wanted to and regulate that. So they had an access to the market world over. They had no competition because in Africa and Asia there was no manufacturing base, no trading base. So in an imperfect market environment, this law saying the supply will create its own demand was all right. But today in the 21st century, when every country, every continent is aspirational, has its own capability, knowledge, skill, and access to information the world over, there is going to be competition. If we are going to manufacture trucks here, there's somebody else who is also manufacturing trucks there. So there is bound to be a competition, therefore, it is not possible that we will be only supply-oriented. If we want to be demand-oriented, then what is the secret to success? That demand can be of two types and need to be of two types. One is the consumption demand. That's what all the time our finance ministry is worried about. What is happening to the consumption demand in this country? And second one is the investment demand. So we need to enhance the consumption demand so that people are going to buy the white goods or other kinds of consumer goods. And simultaneously the investment demand, and that investment demand has to be triggered by governments, by a appropriate facilitative policy framework. Taxes, infrastructure, ease of doing business, less of harassment, so on and so forth. So it is a give and take, it's a partnership mode. So now how do we really connect these two? Creation of jobs for our people in the country, because there are so many people who are in the working age. The working population, the labor force participation rate is increasing. It will be there till 2050. What are we going to do about it? So if we are to make higher investments, there's another roadblock that all of us have hit. Always early birds have an advantage. We are late birds. The late birds because we are now all talking about climate change, and the Western world is now telling us to do this, not to do this. There's a mitigation, there is an adaptation. So, climate change is also a reality. Climate change is constraining all kinds of production. And the greenhouse gas emission is increasing. And we also are a signatory at the Paris Agreement in 1996 that we shall shift to the economic base in such a way that the temperature shall be regulated at maximum of 1.5 degrees Celsius by the end of 21st century, if not 2 degrees. So if we want to keep it at least 2 degrees Celsius, if not 1.5 degrees, then all of us have to stop using fossil resources. So here I would like to bring you to agriculture a bit, that use of fossil resources, iron ore, bauxite, coal, copper, anything and everything, they're all huge emitters of greenhouse gases. And that's how in 250 years we have increased the intensity of carbon dioxide. We have increased other greenhouse gases like methane. All of that is impacting temperature, precipitation, weather extremes, impinging on the life within the ocean, on the land, in the atmosphere. We have had COVID, which is the latest example, and now they have been talking about another new virus which might also come. So the integrated life has all been compromised. So the way forward, therefore, is if we need to invest more to create jobs, but we cannot do it using fossil resources, the only option is to use bioresources. Bioresources are good because they can be used, reused. They can be used in different ways. Yes, even fossil resources can be used in different ways. But the flexibility of sustaining the raw materials when it is bio-based is much more than in case of fossil resources. Fossil resources, all hydrogen, carbon-based, will take us millions and billions of years to be recreated. So in that sense, they are also renewable. But then we have to take birth after another million years. But whereas if it is based on bioresources like a crop, animal, livestock, fisheries, aquaculture, they can all be grown within 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 1 year, 2 years. So you'll have continuous supply of raw material. So the way forward is to shift from fossil-based economy to bioeconomy. America has already started. It is as old as 1980s. European Union has come up with its second draft of the bioeconomy policy. They are way ahead. India is also marching ahead. So we now need to have a research and development, our technology, science, innovation, all channelized towards using bioresources. Just to give you one example, while we produce 315 million tons of food grains, that is cereals and pulses, they generate 786 million tons of crop residues. And we consider all of it as waste. Whereas physiologically, whether it is the byproduct or the main product, all are made of the same compounds. We can use the crop residues for methanation, ethanol production, just as we are doing now with sugarcane. So there is no end to the use and reuse of bioresources. To highlight this particular case, let me give an example of agar. As you know, agar is used in cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, textiles, painting, paper, everywhere. India has 8,111 kilometer length of coastline. And we are importing seaweed from Spain with hardly any coastline. And if we can grow our own seaweed and make agar, we would add a value of 10x. If we can process it in a more sophisticated way and move from agar to agarose, we will add 40x value. We can go up to 10,000x value if only we know the processing technology. So there is no limitation. The frontiers of bioscience, biotechnology are unlimited, just as they are elsewhere. So for want of time, let me say that bioeconomy combined with circular economy is the way forward. Because as Mahatma Gandhi said, this earth has enough for everybody's need but not for greed. So mankind also has to realize that he's just one species of the millions of species. And because man has got that cognitive power, he has that responsibility to ensure not only his well-being, but also the well-being of the entire ecology. An entire ecology has been created as an organic system. We have to take care of the soil, the earthworm, the seaweed, the cow, the calf, everyone. Only then we can be happy. So there is a meaning in the organic way of life. And lastly, let me once again recall Mahatma Gandhi, who was invited by the FICCI, Delhi, in April 1931. They have his saying there, displayed very prominently because he's the unique guest who visited FICCI. It is a family jewel. Mahatma Gandhi advised them that you are all entrepreneurs, industrialists, trade bodies. Please remember that the wealth that you have, you are creating and you will create. You only have that much of right to use as you need. The rest of the wealth is in your trust. He called them as trustees. So remember, that wealth which you don't need beyond a certain level, it is everybody's wealth. You need to reinvest. We're not asking that you should just, philanthropically or charity-wise throw the money. No, not necessary all the time. Even if you can reinvest and create jobs, then you are doing a service to the society. So that concept of trusteeship which Mahatma Gandhi advocated, he also told us, the people in the government, that remember that this power is not coming from the position you occupy. This area, this land, this wealth is not yours. You are only a trustee on behalf of the people. So you have to remain honest, remain professionally and people committed. So all of us, whether in the private sector or in the government sector, who enjoy a certain position of power, authority over wealth and mankind, have that sense of responsibility to remember that we're just trustees. So I would suggest that you all can do a great job, be an example to the country. And Chennai, Kolkata, and Mumbai, these have been the three cities where the first experiments were done in 19th century. Whether it was the first municipal corporation or the first rail line or anything and everything else were all done in these three cities, apart from Delhi, of course. So Chennai is the leading light. And that you are 186 years old, 187 years old, is proof of the resilience and the capability of the people of this city and the country. It is not easy to maintain this length of life. You must all have read that book, Built to Last, by James and others, who have studied the 100-year-old companies. Those companies which have survived are those who practiced ethics, not were driven by profits all the time. In fact, they were meeting losses, but it was ethics that actually sustained them. So I must say that 187 years of life of this chamber is a proof that you have practiced ethics, morality, leadership, and have learned to live through thick and thin. So we wish that you become a shining example to everybody else, not just to other chambers, but to the society at large. And this is what India is actually looking up to. And India, in its endeavor to become one of the leading lights of the world, would certainly be looking at such professionally competent and well-peopled organizations. Lastly, I think when we heard of industrialization, it was Mr. Venkatraman, the former president who hailed from Tamil Nadu. He is considered as a father of Tamil Nadu's industrialization. I think rightly we should be also remembering him. After all, during those days of 1980s when there was so much of license Raj, permit Raj, he was able to push industries into Tamil Nadu. And that's how today all that we're seeing is in a way his gift. There could be many others. I can't recall all, but at least I know that he was one who did that. So thank you very much for inviting me and in giving me this opportunity of sharing a few thoughts with you. It has been really a pleasure. And I have been coming to Chennai many a time. I came here as Commissioner of Bangalore City to study the new system of solid waste management that Chennai was the leader to introduce in 1999. So I keep coming here. So thank you very much once again, and all the best to you.
J.R.D. Tata says the community is not just the part of the business, but they are the purpose of it. Thank you, sir, for taking us through the three important elements: economy, employment, and environment, and concluding saying the purpose of the businesses is not just looking at the business. We fully accept, agree with you, and we would strive to do our best as a chamber and as a members of the chamber. Thank you so very much. TN is a leader in many sectors, as Mr. President mentioned in his initial remarks, and so also in automobiles. And Chennai is known as the Detroit of India. In fact, people sometimes wonder whether we should call Detroit as the Chennai of US. The progress had been, the performance had been so good, we should say. Here we have a pride of TN, a flagship of the Hinduja Group, a second largest manufacturer of commercial vehicles in India, fourth largest manufacturer of buses in the world, and 19th largest manufacturer of trucks. We are greatly privileged to have Mr. Shenu Agarwal, MD and CEO of Ashok Leyland, and Ashok Leyland had been one of the long-time members of the Madras Chamber, and we are privileged to have you, sir, as our chief guest today in our 187th Chamber Day. Let me take the pleasure of briefly introducing him to the audience. He joined Ashok Leyland in December 2022 as Managing Director and CEO, responsible for driving technology development, growth, and future strategy in the company towards achieving its vision to be among the top 10 commercial vehicle players globally. He's at the right point in time when the company is celebrating its 75th year, if I'm right. He comes from Escorts, Kubota Limited, where as president he was in charge of agri and construction equipment businesses. He has a proven track record as a leader and has been instrumental in turning around the business in Escorts, Kubota. He is an all-rounder, having worked in different capabilities and capacities in many disciplines, such as sales, marketing, R&D, product management, international business, strategic mergers, so on. He has lived in the US for over 8 years and has traveled to more than 70 countries. He has been awarded with several rewards. However, for want of time, I am not getting into the individual details. He is a mechanical engineer from NIT Kurukshetra and an MBA from Duke University, North Carolina, USA. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Mr. Shenu Agarwal as the chief guest today.
And we at the Hinduja Group are part of this nation-building journey. Let's travel together and celebrate the path paved by our founding father and take his legacy forward. Starting with education. We met with lack of direction. We faced tough terrains. We confronted roadblocks of reality. We noticed a lack of access. And we saw barriers to inspiration. These were disturbing signs. It was time to pave a new path. It was time for Road to School. an initiative determined to take learning to India's villages, where we bridge gaps, promote holistic education, and nurture wellness. This helped us change the picture. We increased gender participation, improved learning levels, protected childhood rights, and inspired to excel. Since its presence in 2015, Road to School has made an immense impact. But the journey does not end here. This path came with its own set of challenges. It became evident that the road to school had to lead to a road to livelihood, a program we launched in 2022. Along this road, we laid milestones for the future. Guided careers, supported passions, and partnered dreams. We will continue to travel on these roads towards a horizon where children shine with promise and where young India leads the way.
Firstly, many congratulations for completing 187 years. And as Dr. Dalwai said, I also believe that longevity comes from the purity of purpose. You know, you must have contributed, selflessly with a very pure intention to this community, this society, or whoever you serve to. And that is how you are celebrating this momentous occasion. Ashok Leyland also has been in existence for 75 years. And actually we celebrated our 75th year just a few weeks back. And when we were reflecting on, this type of occasions, I mean, only one thing you can gather, you never remember, how much profit you made, how many buses you sold, how many trucks you did, how many customers you have. The only thing you remember is, have you left any impact on the community, on the societies, and the lives of the businesses that you are serving. I am here also, like Dr. Dalwai, I am here also because of Mr. Keswan. As he said, I and him go long way back. And he is much more experienced than I am, as you can see. So I have learned a few things, and one of the things that I have learned from him is never leave out an opportunity to market yourself. So I may sound selfish, but my intentions are very pure. And at Ashok Leyland and Hinduja Group, we are extremely proud of this initiative that we started about 8 years ago, which we call Road to School. And now we have taken another step beyond Road to School to a new initiative that we call Road to Livelihood. So I won't take much of your time, but just I want to talk about what we are doing. and seek your wishes and blessings. And if you have similar interests, then also appeal to you to join hands with Ashok Leyland in furthering this cause. Yeah, so this we started. Yeah, this we launched in 2015, about 8 years back, and we are very happy that although we made a very small start 8 years ago, but now we have 150,000 children in the country that we are in touch with on an everyday basis. Our target is, of course, to reach 1 million students by 2027. We are a little bit behind our original schedule because of COVID, etc. We had some disruption, but still we have 4 years to go, but we have to grow this impact by almost 6 times. 93% backward communities, 80% first-gen learners, 84% BPL households, and 66% unskilled daily wagers. This is the spectrum of our audience that we try to cater to through this program. In last 3 years, despite like some of the disruptions, like I mentioned, we have grown twice in the number of schools we are able to reach out right now. And in terms of number of children, we have been able to grow 3 times. Right now, we cover 1,373 schools in 5 states of the country, and we are in touch, we are impacting about 150,000 children. The whole idea about the Road to School program is a very holistic development of a child. We normally cater to, when we start with young children, we normally cater to students in grade 1 to 5. And the whole focus is to enhance their foundational and numeracy and literacy, right? So that is the whole focus when we work with the young children. In the second phase, when these children grow up and they go from primary to secondary schools, then we also start focusing on the minimum grade level proficiency, but also we add into social and emotional well-being of these children. We add some more elements into this, like art and culture and sports and play, just to see, where a particular student's interest lies and what we can do with that particular children more in order to make him progress in life. And then, like I said, this Road to Livelihood program we have just started about a couple of years ago, because one thing we observed was that many children that we were working along with for 7 or 8 grades were still leaving out of the schools and were dropping out of the schools, right? So we thought that our impact would not be complete unless we take these children, impart them a lot of vocational education, look at their adolescent well-being, provide them employability skills, and take them through grade 12 and make them ready for employment. Yeah, so this is basically what the whole Road to School and now the new Road to Livelihood program is about. As I said, we have been working for now 8 years. We are working with 150,000 children almost on a daily basis. Just to mention some of the outcomes and impact, 450 plus grade 8 students have qualified through the National Means and Merit Scholarship programs, right? So a lot of these students who were earlier not been able to get into such prestigious scholarships are now, some of them at least, are now able to get into this. Even in rural areas, a lot of parents, they put their children into private schools because of the condition of the government schools. But in our case, we were very happy that about 17,500 students out of 150,000 we have, they actually shifted from private schools to government schools, the schools that we were tied up with. 800 plus rural youth, we are providing full-time employability. This is the children actually who have moved out, not just the people that we are employing in conducting the program, but these are the children that who have moved through grade 12 and now are now working in full-time employment. 1,300 plus girl children, we also provide some financial assistance and scholarships. In terms of the learning level improvements, we have been able to improve it between 15 to 20%. So whatever these children's that are not adopted by Ashok Leyland versus the ones that are, we have seen 15 to 20% learning level improvement. We also faced a challenge that despite all this, some students were still not coming up to the mark. So we started a new program called a remedial student program, where we would still work with those children beyond their school time and still try to bring them back into the stream of this progress. So without taking much of your time, yeah, I mean, of course, we had a lot of awards and recognitions since we have been at it for many, many years now. But I think the whole purpose of my speaking about this is for us to really make this more scalable, etc. You know, we need a lot of help and a lot of support. And like I said, you know, if you believe in something like this and you want to participate in this, we will definitely welcome you yeah. So this is the way forward. Like I said, our mission is to reach 1 million underserved students in India by 26-27. We are at 150,000 right now, and we have to grow to 1 million. That is 6 times we have to grow in 4 years. And our principles that we are following in Road to School are very much aligned to the principles of UNESCO and UNICEF, which is reach every children and retain them in school. That is the #1 priority. Increase their learning levels, prioritize teaching the fundamentals, increase catch-up learning and progress beyond what was lost, and also develop a psychological health and well-being so that every child is ready to learn. That's it for today. Thank you very much for having me here. Thank you.